What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Nanfia, and today we're here to test out a Lost Relics build. When I talk about build, I'm talking about which weapons and relics along with armor goes really well in a synergistic manner. So how can we get the most DPS, how can we get the most efficient run possible? Well, here today, I'm here to explore the LR Undead Halloween build. That's right, Lost Relics had a 2022 Halloween event where there was some unique and interesting blockchain and virtual items that were implemented in this game. It was all undead themed, is what I got out of it. And so what we're doing here is we're play testing this build and we're trying to see how well this build actually works in a realistic situation. I could play test this build in Dreamscape, but that's really not going to get us any results, especially because you can play around with the numbers. We need to actually do this in an actual dungeon. So here you can see on the right side of my screen, you can see that I have Halloween themed items. I got the Flame and Jill, of course, because that's the best skin. Don't let anybody else tell you any different. Here we got ourselves the Necrotic Nightmare. This was a blockchain sword that was implemented last year if you participate in the Halloween 2021 event. We got ourselves the Boneripper, which is a new Lost Relics Halloween item that came out this year. That's a legendary short bow. It's actually a unique method that was used to crafting this weapon. You actually had to get some virtual parts and pieces in order to craft the blockchain weapon itself. So I thought that was a unique way of approaching this event. So shout out to you, Cliff, of course. I got the Doomrack armor because let's be honest, if we're going with the Halloween build, we got to go with the Halloween exclusive armor. This armor is unique because it does 30% less damage from undead monsters. So I thought if we're gonna go with the Halloween undead build, it only makes sense that we have the undead armor, of course. Now let's go over the relics. The relics here I have are Screamies. Screamies was a blockchain relic that came out last year. I wanted to try using blockchain items and virtual items that were for Halloween 2022, but unfortunately, there were some that didn't make the cut, like the Mask of Elijah Crowley. If you guys are wanting to sell it because you think it's trash, it kind of is trash, but sell it to me and I'll buy it from you. Next, we got the Mask of Hugo Crowley. This is very nice because when your health gets to around 900 and below, it can cause decay, which slows down the movement speed of monsters, which is really needed if you're trying to go with the Glass Cannon build, which is kind of what I'm doing here. The Amulet of Deathly Howls, of course, because you want to double your melee damage when your health is below 25%, so around 750 health or below. You got the Terror Tome, which does 25% more damage against undead monsters. The Idol of the Damned, just because you want to reduce the amount of damage you take when you're doing a dungeon map that has undead monsters in it. And then finally, the Netherband. This right here is the most broken item I've seen in this event. I think it's a mark of the true ×2. So with that, you can see that you can do 20% more melee damage against monsters with above 50% health remaining. Again, I think of it as a mark of the true ×2. I'm surprised that I see the valuation at around 122 eng, but it is what it is. If you guys continue to sell it low, well, I'll just buy it from you. Simple enough, right? So now let me go and walk you through which map we're gonna do. Which map is the best and ideal for the undead build? Well, I looked at all the maps, looked at the monsters, and I came to the conclusion that the best map to do is Odenspire Sands. Now, why is that? Well, if you take a look at each monster individually, which you can do in the game, you can see that you can see what type of monster type it is by looking at what's seen here, where it's a standard magic melee. You can see here that out of all the maps, this map has the most undead monsters. You got the Obeon Warrior, that's a undead. You got the Necro Knight, that's a undead. You got Bandor, actually, correction, that is not undead, but I believe the Wraith, yes, the Wraith is undead. You got yourself the Obeon Ranger, that's undead. The Obeon Mage is undead. The Necro Mage is undead, the Necro Ranger that's undead, so really you have like half the monsters in this map that are undead. So again, I think this is the best map to use your Undead Loadout on. So without further ado, let's get right into it and let's start this playtest with this build. Alright guys, I've now made it to the Adventure Pass and I'm ready to do my Odenspire Sands run with my Undead LR Halloween build. But before I go into my actual run, I didn't really talk about my consumables. And so in terms of consumables that I'm bringing into this dungeon, I'm going to be bringing in some wild sea bass. The reason is that since I'm going with the glass cannon build, I want to maintain health of around 750. Having the sea bass is great because if my health gets below 300, I can replenish the 450 and get around 750 or a little bit below and still maintain that glass cannon build. And also because I have a glass cannon build with the Amulet of Deathly Howls, I'll be focused on using melee attacks. Because I'll be using melee attacks, my primary initiative is to be using the mana melee attacks, aka power attacks. Power attacks require mana. As you can see here, I'm gonna right click. You can see that some of my mana was wasted right there. And because I need mana, none of my relics really help replenish energy except for Screamies, which I'm going to be using to maintain glass cannon build. So I'm really going to be using vital energy potions. I think these potions are great, and in terms of the value that you get for it, 650 energy is plenty. So without further ado, let's get right into it and let's start this Odenspire Sands build run. Alright, so as you can see, I'm here in Odenspire Sands, and before I get started, I just want to go over some DPS with you. So, I have the Amulet of Deathly Howls, which is going to double my melee damage once I get to 750 health or below. I have the Tome, which does 25% more damage against undead monsters specifically, and as mentioned before, Odenspire Sands has over 50% monster types that are undead. So this is a great add to my relic build. And then finally, I have the Netherband. Because my health is at 3,000, really, we're going to see only 2 relics being procced at this point, which is the Netherband, which does 20% more melee damage against monsters with above 50% health remaining, and the Tome. The Necrotic Nightmare does 1568 power damage without any relics or armor whatsoever. So let's do the math and see how much power damage I expect to do with both the Tome and the Netherband. So here we go. Let's get started. I want to get one monster specifically. Boom, look at that, 2493. I'm going to pause here for a second once I kill these monsters. Alright, so as you can see here, normally I'm doing 1568 power damage, but in this case I'm doing 2493 against an undead monster. So what is the difference between those two values? What did we say again, guys? We said it was 2498. 2498 minus 1568. So we're doing an extra 930 damage. 930 damage against one monster, just because it's undead with this build. I think that's pretty good if you're looking at trying to go with a heavy hitter DPS set. And again, that's thanks to having the Tome and the Netherband. We're going to see a little bit later on, once my health gets below 750, how much damage I'm doing with the Amulet of Deathly Howls. So let's just continue this run and let's see how it goes. The short bow here is nice. I will pause for a second. The short bow here is nice to have just because the Boneripper has a 30% chance to preserve arrows, which is great. And in addition to that, having a short bow means that you're firing arrows, pretty fast. And compared to the long bow, if you're faced off against ranged Obeons or ranged Necrotic, any sort of ranged monster, you'll notice that they fire arrows or magic attacks pretty quickly. So you want to take them down as soon as possible, and that's why I think this bow is actually pretty great against ranged monsters. And look at that, I just got an arrow thanks to this weapons effect. Let's see how many hits it takes to take this guy down. 1, 2... Looks about like 3 power hits to take him down. That's not bad at all. And I'm thinking about it now. I'm pretty sure I can take down I think I can take down a Wraith with just a regular hit without even using mana. Yeah, look at that. Just regular attack. These guys, I think I'm going to have to do oh, look at that. I can also one-shot. Holy crap, I can one-shot the Necronites too. I didn't expect that. Total shock factor. So with this build, I guess one thing I'm anticipating off the bat is since I'm doing a lot of high DPS with just a regular attack, I won't need to be using as much energy as I anticipated. So I'm definitely left surprised by that fact. But that's why we do that's why we're doing a playtest build, just to see how viable it is in terms of energy consumption, as well as energy consumption along with just seeing how viable this build is in general. One thing that I didn't mention in this video, everybody, is the idea of cleaving. So if you guys don't know what cleaving is, it's when you distribute your DPS from your sword or your bow against multiple types of monsters. So in this case, how much DPS can I do against 2 monsters if I were to right click? In this case, I did 900 and 1200 damage. The reason why the DPS was different is because one monster was an undead while another monster was standard. So just keep that in mind if you're looking to cleave. But again, with this build, if you're trying to emphasize on your melee damage, then you might want to think about trying to gather up multiple mobs at the same time like this and trying to take them out with one energy attack. Now, the reason you want to do that is because you're wanting to focus on getting as much out of each energy attack as you can, and that's why it's great to, you know, gather up mobs and like just hack and slash your way through the dungeon, especially now with this current Lost Relics update where meleeing mobs is the current meta. Alright guys, I've cleared up a bit more of the map, and as you guys can see, I'm at 666 health, which is it's pretty ominous, let's be honest. 666 is Monka-esque, but it is what it is with my health. But the great thing about this is that I've now procced the Mask of Hugo Crowley, I've procced my Amulet of Deathly Howls, so now we're going to see how much DPS I do when it comes to one-shotting mobs. And we're going to try this with a power hit if we can, ideally. We have there a ranged Necro Knight. I don't want to try it on that monster, I'd like to try it on a melee, so let's see if we can find an Undead Melee. Here we go, Undead Melee. Boom, look at that, 4,986 damage, bro. Like, yo, imagine if I can cleave 2 undead monsters. That's about 2,500 damage per. So this is why, again, you want to have consumables like Wild Sea Bass if you're trying to go in with this mentality of face tanking mobs. Screamies also helps too because you're able to face tank a bit more. So again, the primary focus here is if you want to face tank and cleave mobs, again, distributing your DPS wisely while you're under a Glass Cannon build. Make sure you have some good consumables to maintain that build because you don't want to die. Because if you die, you lose your virtual items. But in this case, let's try it out and let's see how much we can cleave, if possible, of course. Here we go, 3 monsters. Boom, 1,600 on 2 monsters and 1,300 on another. The only problem with this build is like you can't really cleave monsters that are ranged. You can, but like I don't like going about that method just because ranged monsters seem to shoot rapidly, like that. There you go. I guess with the Doomrack armor, it's okay to face tank a bit of the arrow damage. I guess that's fine. Because I think each arrow does 75 damage, so that's not too bad. And here we go, we got a boss, so what we're going to do, we're going to back the F up, and we're going to try to play it safe. How do we play it safe? Well, you just got to make sure that you can kill the monsters around you first, of course. We're going to dodge roll, we're going to attack, and this is why the short bow is super OP. And we roll again, and then we're going to pop an energy potion, and we're going to pop a screamies, and we're going to try maintaining Glass Cannon. The great thing with this is that the boss actually takes damage from the Mask of Hugo Crowley. That's why we have ourselves a mask with this build. So that way the monster's slightly slower and I can dodge him a bit easier under the Glass Cannon build. Look at that, man. Just because, again, the decay effect slows down the monster while doing a little bit of DPS. Boom! Get out of here. I can't believe you dropped large bones, though. That was kind of uneventful, but there you go. I mean, is Glass Cannon possible against the boss? Yes, it is, thanks to the Mask of Hugo Crowley, which is going for a sweet, sweet discounted price of 900,000 gold. And how can you get this gold? Farm. Farm, farm, farm. Again, we've kind of explored a little bit on how this Glass Cannon works, and it works pretty great. You can face tank ranged monsters if you wish to, because, especially undead ones, like in this instance, just because you have the Doomrack armor, but just make sure you play it safe, and always look at your health bar to see how much health you have remaining. Alright guys, as you can see, I finished up the entire map, and we'll see that when I show you the dungeon exit screen, but I just wanted to show you something. So, I walked into this dungeon with 3,000 health, 3,000 energy, and I still have 2 Screamies left, which is actually kind of amazing. I think it just works due to monster RNG, but as you can see, I didn't touch any of my wild sea bass because I didn't need to. And in terms of my energy potions, I used up 3 out of the 4, just because I told you about that little strategy where if you want to build up energy, I think it's worth being able to just gather at a couple nodes if you need to just replenish your energy naturally over time, and then strategically use your vital energy potion. So let's see if I ended up actually 100% completing the map in terms of monsters defeated. I didn't gather some of the nodes as you can see here, but it is what it is. So here we go. Do I really want to exit? Yes, I do. Alright, as we can see here, monsters defeated, 100%, items discovered, 99%, not bad. The time taken was 28 minutes, but that was just because I was explaining a little bit of things within the video. I'm sure if I actually did a speed run in Odenspire with this Glass Cannon build, I could probably get it down to 12 minutes, but I'm sure that there are better grinders than I that could emulate my build and do it in a, in a more fashionable time. But anyways, that was it for this video. So please let me know in the comments below if you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys would like me to play test any other builds. I'm more than happy to talk about it from the perspective of looking at the damage per hit, talking about it in terms of its viability, what type of consumables you might want to bring in your dungeon run. But I like and want to continue doing videos like this just because I think when we talk about Lost Relics and the future of the game, now that we have monster categories in terms of types of monsters, I think we'll be looking at more of this in the future in terms of what types of relics, what types of weapons will do really well against certain types of monsters. In this case, with the Undead build, I can say with some sort of confidence that this build is pretty viable when you're wanting to grind Odenspire Sands. Again, let me know if you guys think I should change anything with this Undead build in terms of weapons, relics, consumables, but otherwise, I think that this was a success. So thank you so much for checking out my video. I greatly appreciate it. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. Please be sure to also check me out on twitch.tv/nonfia as I stream Lost Relics there. I'd like to say on a weekly basis. So again, please be sure to check me out and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Have a great rest of your day, night, or evening. Thank you.